I sat in the deck chair on the porch in the quickening dark. On this night I could hear fuzzy jazz coming from the radio in the kitchen, pressed with the sounds of dishes clinking through the open window from a neighbour whom I never saw but lived next door. The cool hand of the evening breeze flapped over the leaves, and I heard the wooden slap of a screen door somewhere. He was close. In my dreams I am searching for him. I see him across the street, his face in a crowded room, at a table, at a cafe, or going past in a street parade. I walk around in a haze, desperate to find him, and half afraid that I actually might. The radio alarm came on at 7 a.m. as usual. I was still half asleep, but waiting to hear an interview with Ken on the radio. As he started speaking, I turned my head to listen, eyes still closed. Suddenly he stopped, mid-sentence. "Oh, action! There's action!" he said hurriedly. I opened my eyes. "And yes, awake!" he said, talking faster, sounding excited. Was he watching me? After the interview was over, the next song finished, I finally had the courage to get out of bed. I wanted to be brave enough to consider that this was about love, but also that it might be an illusion. It was Saturday afternoon, and I came down the stairs after spending most of the day in my room. "Hey, what are you up to tonight?" my housemate asked, beaming with energy. "Not much," I said, staring into the fridge. "Want to join me and see a band?" We arrived at the venue and met up with more people. The group drifted over to the bar, and I walked over to a display board on the wall to look at upcoming acts. Just then I heard a girl shriek, "Oh my God, it's Ken!" I turned around to see him standing there a short distance across the room. He had a man talking into his ear on one side and a beautiful woman on his other side, but he was staring straight at me, nodding, staring. I looked around to check if there was someone behind me. Then he put his arm around the beautiful woman and he turned and walked away. I felt flush with fame. "I can't believe it was him. I have to call my friend," said another girl. A few minutes later I walked into the dark crowd and stood just inside the door at one side of the stage. When the music finished, the band walked off stage. The house lights came up and I looked across the crowd. There was Ken in the first row of seats back from the dance floor. A lady tapped him on the shoulder and pointed to me. That was enough. Slowly the lights dimmed again and the band quickly returned with an encore. After the show I moved with the crowd into the busy foyer, wondering what to do. Even if I did wait for him, what would I say? "Are you in love with me?" I waited another 15 minutes trying to think of an opening line. The crowd had dispersed and I was becoming conspicuous, but I still couldn't think of a good line, so I left. By the next morning the shorty of the moment had faded, like the stamp on my wrist, the remnant of a dream. Next week, the newspaper made reference to Ken's latest movements. He had been at a band with the cast and crew of his latest movie, but thrown into the paragraph was a reference to arranged marriages. The scattered pieces of the puzzle were slotting together. Should I be following this train of thought? I seemed to hear every romantic song as if it was from him. I know what you're thinking. Why would anyone want to watch me? Delusions of grandeur, they call it. But what's in a name? Isn't it simply a label for some agreed meaning? Doesn't the meaning change if you don't speak the name? If it means different things to different people, should you remove the label? That Saturday morning I was having breakfast with a friend. Our table was outside among the others, sprawled down the pavement under the awning near the water. I just forked food into my mouth when I saw him. It was his face and his arms and legs moving. He had stepped out of the cafe door and walked 2 or 3 steps to his stylish black car before opening the door and disappearing behind the dark windows. I wanted to jump up and down, to wave my arms, yelling, "I'm here, I'm over here." But as I stared, the car pulled away, leaving a space where he might have been. I couldn't be sure. Maybe it was real or maybe it wasn't. Either way, there had to be some outside factor. Maybe it was real, but then was it true? Like shifting weight on one foot from one possibility to another. I wanted something I could verify. Finding that was like finding the end of a rainbow.